Hi, my name is Becca. Welcome back to Raising Them Simply. Here we share all about our homeschool as a family of 6. And today we're going to chat just a little bit about our new small homeschooling space. So if you are new here, I have officially a 3rd grader, a 2nd year preschooler, a toddler, and a little baby over here. So if you hear him, that's what's going on. I'm also a part-time working mom as a nurse. So this channel is all things homeschool and how we make it work for our family. So if any of that interests you at all, please hit that subscribe button so you're notified of future videos. But let's jump into it. So you can kind of tell I've got most of it here showing in the background here, but I have a new beautiful wall full of bookshelves that my husband built for me, and then you could see off over here the rest of our homeschooling space. So I'm going to give you guys an updated homeschool area room tour for you guys. Now some of this stuff may change in the next couple months. If you aren't new here, or if you are new here, we homeschool year round. So we are still going through some of the stuff from last year, but we are going to be slowly transitioning into more of our 3rd grade and 2nd year preschool stuff mid-October because we have a surgery coming up and things like that. But for the most part, everything is set up how we are going to for this next year. So first I will go over what we've got going on our bookshelves, and then I'll show you our setup around our dining room table. So up here, you can notice these are all of our reference books. So these are books that I want access to, but we aren't necessarily using, or maybe we are flipping through them. So for example, don't mind my baby, he's very happy over here in his saucer. But for example, we are doing Middle Ages for school this next year for history, but I have all of my US history stuff up here that we've used, because if we're going about our daily life, and my son, who's an extreme history buff, if he wants access to something or has a question, I can pull down those books easily. I also have some books that we will cycle through with stuff up there that is in our morning basket that I will show you in just a little bit. But we also have the books up here that we will be using shortly. So up there, for example, I have all my space and anatomy curriculum books up there. So they're just there so I don't have to trudge all the way down in the basement to get them when we do need them. On this next shelf up here, we have our great big math manipulative bin that came from the All About Math curriculum that we are using. I also have extra stuff in there that didn't come with the curriculum, like our money and clocks and things like that, but those are just manipulatives. I also have my laptop up there, and then extra tape and staples. And then on this next shelf here, I will bring you guys just a little bit closer so that you can have a better look on that shelf. So this is where the bulk of our curriculum kind of lives. I have it separated between my 3rd grader and then preschooler over on this side. So over here we have our Math Mammoth grade 1 skills review sheets that we use. He is currently in level 2 math with All About Math, but we use those sheets as like a review process, and that's been working really, really well for us. Then we've got our All About Reading. We are just finishing up level 2 with that. And then we have our history curriculum. Like I said, we're still wrapping up some stuff. So we're wrapping up our ancient history from Build Your Library. And then we have our All About Math curriculum right here. Then in this bin, this is all of my 3rd grader stuff. So we have his language arts workbook, his handwriting workbook, spelling. I have a notebook that I use when I go over through his stuff, and then he has a notebook as well that he does his writing in. So that's all in there. And this is when we get into my preschooler stuff. So this bin is her All About Reading pre-reading worksheets and stuff that go with their curriculum, as well as some random workbooks that I've gotten from the Target dollar spot for us to go over colors, numbers, things like that, that she just likes to do sometimes. So I keep that in there. And then this is her Purposeful Preschool from the Waldock Way. We use that to supplement our reading stuff. And this bin is all of her kindergarten Math with Confidence workbooks, as well as a little workbook that we have with supplemental science stuff that we do. By the way, if you have any questions on what we've used or will be using next year, I will link videos down below for you guys. But we did nature study this last school year, and I just happened to have a resource on hand that talked more about like what are living versus non-living things, what is a plant's life cycle and things like that. Things that my oldest did when he was in kindergarten that we just used to help supplement for her because she hadn't learned that stuff yet. So that's what that workbook is. And then we have this little search and find book that she likes to do sometimes during school time. And then I have this accordion folder right here, and that's where I put the worksheets and stuff that she's completed for record keeping purposes for her preschool. Down here is everything that we are currently using for different cycles. So all of our history books or things that go with Build Your Library are down here. So we have A Child Through Time, our 13 art techniques every children should know, our book of nature poetry, history quest, our history encyclopedia would go up here as well. I just have that off to the side. He's got his history timeline notebook that we use, our planners, and then we have morning menus that we complete up here too. And then I also have our Bibles here because these are things that we access every single day. We also use a pom-pom jar. I originally found this out from Mary Barfield. We took that idea and it's worked really well for us. But as you can see, there's only one pom-pom in here. When we have a good day with school, they earn a pom-pom. When the jar is completely filled to the point where you tip it upside down and the pom-poms don't move, my children can either pick out a brand new Yoto card, $5, or a book of their choice, as like a reward system for doing a good job in school. This works really, really well for us. My son, as you can see, just emptied his jar. I believe he's done this 2 or maybe 3 times this school year. But like I said, we homeschool year round. So this has worked really well for us. So his jar is here, as well as my daughter's, and then our pom-pom bag. These are pens and adult scissors that only I can use. Our timer, we keep our liquid glue up here because my toddler likes to pour it all out, so she has to ask to use those. I also keep our little math wrap-up manipulatives here. I have a Yoto case of Yoto cards that are just for educational purposes that I want to keep separate from the other stuff so I can find it easier when we do use it. So I have this here. And then we have our whiteboard spray, magic eraser, because sometimes on our wall the dry erase marker gets on there and this is the only thing that takes care of that. And then our All About Reading reader books. Next, I will lower the camera here and show you what's inside the shelves. Okay, so in here, this is where we have our sensory bins. I do a sensory bin system that I've talked about before. If you want more information on that, I could do an updated video for you guys because it has been a while since we've gone over that. But I do different sensory bins. And then we have these drawing, we call them drawing pads. But these you could scribble on and push the button and it erases. So we have a bunch of these. We actually have most of them in the car for church. But they go there. And we've got a bin full of paints. We have dot markers, paintbrushes, glue sticks, these little paint markers, paint sticks. My daughter has a jewelry making kit in here. And then we have like smocks and things to put the paint in, palettes. And then down here we have like a miscellaneous craft bin with like cotton balls, stickers, popsicle sticks, all that stuff. Next bookshelf chunk over here, we've got up here, this just has our microscope and extra science experiment kits that we keep up there. So that's up and out of the way so that we can bring it down whenever we need it because we don't access that stuff all the time. Right here we have our math, school-specific games. So we have 2 different math board games up there that we like to use. I like to keep that separate from the rest of our board games. We keep our first and last day of school sign up here, liquid chalk markers, and then these are our felting, wool felting kits that we started this last year. We took a break from them, not because it was something we didn't like. We actually really loved doing it together, me and my oldest. But then I was pregnant and lost all energy, and with a toddler and a baby, I only like to do things with sharp needles when they're both sleeping, which does not happen very often. So those are up there and out of the way. In here we have my laminating sheets, a hot glue gun, my laminator up there because I use those very frequently. And then over here I just have a little case where I keep my sprocket. I keep extra index cards and post-it notes. And then I've got my cutter. I also have these bands that are stretchy, kind of like an exercise band that go on the bottom of chairs so that my kids can kick on them to kind of fidget when they're doing school. So I keep the extra ones up there. And then I have these blank notebooks that my kids like to create things with. Next down here, these are different books that we might not be currently using, but that I want my kids to have access to. So we have our chapter book read alouds that we have done this last year that I want to keep separate so they don't get lost in the shuffle over there. But if my son wants to go ahead and read these, or my daughter wants to flip through those, she can. We also keep our adult children's dictionary and thesaurus over here. And then I have a bunch of books for things that I'm using to create our geography unit. I'm creating a fables, fairy tales, and folklore geography unit, and I keep those there so that I can reference those while I'm creating it. I have a video on that if you want. I will link it down below for you guys. And then this is actually a menu holder that I use to help prop open different pictures and stuff. So we keep that there. We have our stapler. This is printer paper that I want away from my kids because they will use all of it before I can use it. And this is a 3-ring binder of that curriculum for the geography unit that I'm creating, just there for now so it's easy to access. And this is our morning basket. I have done a video on this recently. I will link it down below for you guys. But this just has everything for our morning baskets that we are going to be implementing this next school year. We have our fancy new pencil sharpener, and then these are some extra more picture books or living books that I want to keep separated from our extra books or reference books. So we've got a How Science Works book, we have a First Child's Encyclopedia, we have a bunch of like dinosaur books, we have like our little House on the Prairie picture books over here. I also have different school books or picture books, like on the first day of school, Me and My Family Tree, I'm Stronger Than My Anger. These books just make more sense to be separate from everything else because we usually use these for school, and I was finding it was hard for me to find them in all our other books over there. This is white printer paper that my kids can color with, construction paper, our caddy systems right here. And this bin has just clipboards and our small individual whiteboards that the kids like to use. And on the bottom here, this is just scrap paper. This little file bin has my toddler's morning menu and notebooks and stuff, because since she can't read, she can't tell which books are hers, and then she takes my older two and they get upset. So she knows that's her bin, and everything in there she can draw on. And then this is just extra notebooks or sticker books and stuff like that that are for my older two. Pretty much everything on this top part right here is personal, so I'm not going to go through that stuff. But I have a nature bin here. So we've got our nature anatomy book, animal books for kids. We have a bird book of birds for Minnesota and Wisconsin down here. Book on butterflies and trees and stuff, and that's where the kids also keep their binoculars and their magnifying glass. We have bird feeders out our front window, and the kids love to have access to that while the birds come up and their binoculars and stuff like that. So that's a great place for that. And then over here, this bin has a bunch of different games and stuff, educational games for my preschooler that I had higher up and realized that we weren't really using them because I would have to get it down to show it to her, and she didn't have free access. So my current toddler knows not to play with that stuff unless mom says it's okay. When my baby starts walking, we'll have to find a different place for that. But for right now, we've got like a sand letter game in there. We've got a scale. We've got those little tiles with the wood pictures that she can create on there. So all that stuff's in there. And then down here, these are just some kits, a snap circuit kit and drawing pad that my kids like to play with. Okay, now over here, we have our board games, all of my books, my book collection over here. Up here, these are just like my personal, like, Little House on the Prairie books and stuff like that my kids were accidentally ripping pages because they are so frail, so I keep those up. But then these are chapter books that my kids go through. And then over here, this is our library book shelf. I found that that is what's easiest for my kids, is that they have a whole shelf where their library books can go. And then we have hard books, and then toys over here. We got toys over there. These are, we call them our soft books. So those are all the like cardboard page books. Those are our soft books, the one with actual paper pages, and then more toys over there. So that's our wall of bookshelves, and I will go ahead and flip the camera and show you our dining room where we actually do our school. Okay, so one of the main things that we changed over here is we no longer have a giant cube shelf over here. When we built this wall, we were able to consolidate a lot of the stuff from the cube shelf over there and get rid of that cube shelf. And then another thing I'm not going to show you because it's not set up yet is right over here we have this partial wall between our kitchen and our dining room where we're going to put a desk, and that's going to have our computer and our printer and stuff like that over there. So, but this is where we homeschool, right around our dining room table. This whiteboard we got a couple years ago. I actually always have it linked in the description box. I have a list of things that we love for our homeschool that are our non-negotiables, and I always have that link there, but we love this whiteboard. I also just laminated these months of the year with which number it is for the month because we were really focusing on that this last school year with my current third grader for his calendar work. And then for our kitchen table, we actually have this nook bench area, and in the benches is storage. And so that far one, we have coloring books and water wows and things like that. And over here we have fidgets and Play-Doh. It just works way easier when those are over there, and it helps keep that stuff away from all the homeschool stuff and makes it so that it doesn't get so chaotic. And then we have that perfect ledge over there. That's where we always keep our globe. So you might not be able to tell here on camera, but we don't have much space to actually work with. And I want to also give this caveat that you don't even need this much space to homeschool. When we started homeschooling, we had a Target shelf with the 10 different color shelves in it that was really flimsy, and then a bin that we just put on the kitchen counter. And that worked perfect for that time. But as our family has grown, we've needed more space to store things. And this is really working well. We've used it for a couple weeks now, and we're really enjoying how much more function it's bringing to our space. And so we're really, really enjoying it so far. But I just want to let you know that if you're new to homeschooling, you do not need this much space to work with, to actually homeschool your kids successfully. So baby's starting to get fussy, so that's my cue that we've got to wrap up here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really lets me know what you like to see on this channel. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you're new to homeschooling, or how many years you have been schooling and how many homeschoolers you have. I would love to know. Hit that subscribe button. It is a free way for you to be notified of future videos, and I can't wait to catch you guys next time. Bye.